Good morning and welcome to the CTW conference, Readying for the Road. Asia is starting to see some encouraging bilateral green lanes for essential and business travel, while the most progressive development in the space of travel access is Singapore and Hong Kong's recent confirmation of an unrestricted air travel bubble announced on November 11th. With borders reopening, what does it mean for companies that have been waiting to get back on the road to fulfill business-critical trips and contribute to economic recovery? In this short hour, we will hear from our speakers on what processes must be in place now and what must be done to ensure that travelers are confident that they will remain in safe hands when traveling in a time of a pandemic. Allow me to introduce our speakers this morning. We have got Benson Tang, Executive Director with the Corporate Travel Community. Hello, Benson.
Hi, everyone from around the world.
And we have Jeannie Techasiriwan, Special Events Assistant Director with Amway, Thailand.
สวัสดีค่ะ
Hello, Jeannie.
สวัสดีค่ะ Thank you for having me today.
We've got very cheerful panelists this morning. They will help build up the vibe early in the morning, yeah? I've got a question for both of you. We can start off with Benson first. Since the green lanes are now on, is it a time for us to rejoice yet?
Very good question. And once again, thank you for inviting us to be here. Now, immediately, first thing in my mind, flash in my mind, is a song from Beatles, The Long and Winding Road. It's not easy. It's the most challenging time ever in our history. But of course, with our united together, with our solidarity in the industry, it helps, right? Now, you asked a very good question, the green lane. And everybody talking about the green lane between Hong Kong and Singapore right now, which will be on the 22nd of November, coming very soon. And indeed, it gives a lot of hope. And it will be an exemplary example to all other countries around the world. How could the border be open? How could travel be revived? And all these processes and conditions between the two, area country will be setting a model for others to follow in the future. So we are all very excited about that. But remember, one size doesn't fit all. Right? And if you look at all the prerequisite and condition of this green lane, it's not just very simple open up. All right? There are many conditions. Let me share some of you. I won't go into too deep details because otherwise we will all sleep in the morning. But a few examples. For example, 14 days prior to the travel, between Hong Kong and Singapore, they cannot travel to another place, okay? So before traveling 14 days, cannot travel to other place. That's very important condition. Second, 72 hours before the traveling, the traveler must take the coronavirus test. Negative, of course. Third, there is a quota per day, actually. At the moment, is 200 people, and they must travel on that particular designated flight. There is only one flight per day, all right, at the moment. But then in December, when all these trial tests run smoother, in December, another flight will be added. So there will be 2 flights per day. So the maximum quota we are talking about in December is only talking about 400 people per day. All right. So there are quite a number of conditions. And remember also, there is one critical condition that is between the two countries and area, Hong Kong, either Hong Kong or Singapore. If there is an average of 5 new untraceable cases reported in an average per day, 5 new untraceable cases, then this system can be suspended. All right. So there are a few check and balances. And of course, there is no right or wrong at the moment, but at least it gives the industry hope.
Yeah, I just want to emphasize that, you know, the examples that arrangement between Singapore and Hong Kong, a travel bubble where restricted. This, you know, basically it means that travelers for any purpose can get on that route, and they can access both Singapore and Hong Kong. But this is very unique, Benson, because most of the other arrangements are green lanes, which means that there are restrictions like quarantine, compulsory quarantines, and other, you know, they have to follow a strict itinerary. So the Hong Kong Singapore route is really unique, huh?
That's why I mentioned it will be an example. It will be a model for others to follow in the future.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much. And Jeannie, what are your thoughts?
Actually, for us, right now, because for Amway Thailand, we have a big group of incentive travel. We travel about three times per year, right? We monitor quite closely to the countries that we have to travel. The thing is, actually, we have two groups of people. One group, like, they are very scared of COVID, but another group, they don't pay attention to it much because they would like to travel real bad. So it's kind of like we as an event planner, we try to monitor how we gonna make them safe and healthy when they travel. So for the green lane right now, because for us is quite very good. We work closely with Thailand Convention and Exhibition Bureau, how we can travel to destinations and how other event planner from Amway affiliate to come to Thailand as well. So right now, for us, and the thing is, we kind of monitor the news a lot about the vaccine. When I ask the travelers, when they think that they are okay to travel, they said once like we have vaccines or anything, or our countries is open, we still okay. And then we work closely with the government if they can shrink down the number of quarantine as well. Because for us as Thailand, it seems like we are the safe countries to travel out as well to another countries, in some countries like in New York or in Europe.
Okay. Benson, what's immediately required on the part of travel management companies and corporate travel managers that are looking to resume business critical trips as soon as possible?
A very good question again. Now, there are actually two ways communication. From the administration side, from the company side, whether there is essential business trip, right? So this is like a top-down approach, right? The company asks the traveler to do a business trip for signing of agreement or doing business, etc. That way communication. The other way is the traveler themselves, whether they have the confidence, whether they are willing to travel. That's another way. So there are always two-way communication. Now, how we can bring that two communication into a balance is an art. Very, very important. Now, that is the reason why travel manager plays a vital role here. How can the travel manager amend, add the policy, or try to give more confidence to the travelers, right? For example, insurance policy. Will the traditional insurance, travel insurance I'm talking about, covered COVID? Will they have evacuation plan, for instance, right? In critical situation, if a staff on the trip got COVID, could the staff be looked after under, the traditional coverage? Those are all question marks, and travel managers need to be proactively giving updated information and also make sure the insurance are covering all those things. Second thing is many suppliers like the airline, like the hotel, like the ground transportation, the TMCs, etc. They are all very, very proactive. They are all launching some of the new measures and also cleanliness, sanitization to make sure the travelers are comfortable. For example, if you look at Qatar Airways, they are right now using a brand new system from Honeywell using UV lights to sanitize, the entire cabin, right? That's one situation. Now, for example, in ANA, they now created a brand new, what we call elbow knob to open a toilet. Because in the past, you open the toilet, you use your hand. Right now, you use your elbow to open the toilet door, right? For example, in Virgin, they now make the middle seat vacant. All right. Now, if you look at hotel, for instance, some hotels are using photocatalyst coating. They spray the room with photocatalyst coating to avoid COVID, diseases to spread. For example, touchless check-in, like JAL, they now have Chaos. You don't have to touch the screen. It's infrared. So 3 centimeters away from the system, you press the button in the air, and then you can check in. Now, all these kind of things are brand new, unprecedented. They are very creative, and that adds new, very, very safeguard for the traveler. Now, remember, that is from the supplier side. They proactively provided that. But will the future change? Will travel manager in the future demand that when they send out the RFP, all these are listed under the wish list of the agreement? That is the reason why travel manager have more roles, more important roles, and they have to roll out all these in a proactive manner. It's a very different way, Karen, very different.
Yeah. And I suppose with all that information, it's hard for the traveler to keep track of what's available, what initiatives there are, right? So the corporate travel manager would have to play the role of a communicator to compile all this information and convey them to the traveler to build the confidence, huh?
That's very true.
Yeah. Jeannie, the initial return to travel is unlikely to be an easy process, as we can see. Will this continue to deter incentive travel or travel for special events? Or would these activities be deemed sufficiently business critical to warrant investment and effort on Amway's part to make them happen?
Okay. I have to talk on Amway side because this is just for our world. When we
Sure, of course.
We try to survey our clients, like, because when they won an award last past August to Alaska cruise, we kind of concerned because we signed a contract in a big deal with the Royal Caribbean Cruise Line. The thing is, we have a happy problem because normally we have some that they can catch, they can opt out for cash as well if they travel quite often. But we now have a numbers that increase because they cannot travel in the past for about like 10 months already. So they came to me and said, I have to travel. I don't know why, but I have to travel. But the thing is, for the big group like this, I could not travel for next year because it's about the issues of airlines and things like how we can get them from here to Seattle. So now we defer it. We move it to 2022 for the big group. But the small group, we still keep it in 2021, but we move from Q1, Q2 to Q3 and Q4.
Okay.
Like to make sure that things gonna be stable right now. But because this is in our mentality and our mindset in Thailand, because it seems safe right now, but we still monitor closely. But just let you all know that for Thai people, they're eager to travel out so bad.
I think most of us are desperate to get out and to walk down the aisle.
Yeah, you cannot believe the number that we have right now. We have almost like 2,200 people that want to travel real bad to Alaska.
Oh, yes, believe me, everybody around the world, we are all human beings. We are not robots.
Right. Yeah, so when you ask the question that how incentive travel is going to be, I think it still come back, but it takes time because of the things that affect around the world and how we can get out from here to there, and because of the airlines as well.
Right.
Yeah,
the logistics would be a problem. Yeah.
Karen and Jeannie, I just want to add one little point, right? It's not just the wish of the incentive traveler or the organizer. It's also the government. The government plays a very, very vital role here because some of the government, they are still closing the border. They are still in the lockdown mode. So that will deter, the incentive traveling.
Exactly. Agree.
That's true. That's true. Okay. Jeannie, still on you. In speaking with your business partners, what is their appetite for overseas events in this unusual environment? Now, you mentioned that you still have winners who really want to go on the Alaska trip. So if you're not able to replace those trips that should have happened this year, what else are you doing to maintain communications and engagement and the rewards to your business partners then?
Okay. We have two options right now, but that's not the option that they want, because this is like the first tier of for the Amway award, right? So we said if we still cannot make them fly right now, we still have to make a commitment that we can defer it to such a certain time that we can travel. We're gonna keep it, but smaller group. We try to, as a Thai people, we would like to help the travel industries in Thailand as well. So we try to propose the program like travel in Thailand. But for mentality, travel abroad and travel domestically is kind of different mindset. So we're not lucky to sell that yet, but we try to. But if not, we will not cancel the trip, but we still keep it, but we just defer the timing to travel.
I see. Okay. Now, earlier Benson mentioned how the corporate travel managers and the agency side would have to be communicators to convey to travelers about all the safety initiatives that suppliers provide now. So on Amway's part, what sort of preparations do you think you will have to make to get your business partners ready for an overseas trip down the road that would make them feel confident about the experience and the journey? Jeannie?
I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Yeah. I got the question. Actually, we try to make sure that everything's gonna be safe. I mean, safe and healthy for them, because a big group like that, and we have to make sure that everything runs smoothly for them when we fly from Bangkok to destination and come back. So we work closely. It's like how the government, they control the things there in that destinations as well. But for us as travelers, we try to make sure that they understand about the protocol of each destination, how we're going to prepare ourselves as well, not be a spreader to that destination. And we have to work with all the embassies and the government and the DMC to make sure all the things, the logistic, the protocol, the health, that before, prior to COVID time, we never have to work closely that much on that things, because it's never happened. Just except that we had that incident like H5N1 before, but it's not affect the whole world like this, or SARS or MERS. But this time it's different. So we have to rearrange our policies, like when we select the destination, to make sure that everything is going to come back safe and sound.
Okay. Benson, can you tell me what sort of business trouble would fall under the business critical category, and how frequent might they be?
Wow, that's another very good question, right? Traditionally, we have two distinct, corporate travel arena. The first one is transient business trip, right? Like the sales trip, signing agreement, etc. This is business trip. Another one is MICE, right? However, after COVID, right, there will absolutely be some kind of new change, and we are expecting very backlog. There are a lot of backlog of corporate travel demand. Let me make a quote from Lufthansa CEO Carsten Spohr, who is a very, very renowned figurehead in the industry. Now, he said this in BTN last week, the 5th of November. He said, "We saw over the summer that leisure comes back faster than corporate. But whenever I talk to corporate customers, they say there is such a backlog of corporate demand that when testing comes into play, we will see a strong comeback of corporate travel." So corporate travel will absolutely come back. It's just a matter of time right now. And as I've mentioned earlier on, the government played a very important role, because many governments still close down, their border. For example, like Hong Kong, no foreign passport holder can enter Hong Kong at the moment. Right? So that's a government policy that deter the traveling. But if the border open up, I pretty much can guarantee you there will be an explosion of traveling.
That's true. But now that business critical trips are so rare, right?
Yeah.
Will there be enough to sustain travel management companies and travel and tourism suppliers that are reliant on business travel activities for survival?
Okay, well, let myself as an example. I actually travel, my first trip after COVID is June, the 1st of June. Now we are already in November. The 1st of June, remember, we still have a lot of explosion around the world. But look about China. 1st of June, China already contained, the COVID. And basically is, comparatively speaking, I cannot say 100% safe, but compared to other countries, much safer. You look at all the domestic trip during the Golden Week last month is record high, right? So in June, I already traveled to Shanghai. Although I have to go through very, very hectic quarantine measures, 14 days in Shanghai, solitude, complete solitude in the hotel room myself. And then coming back to Hong Kong another 14 days, right? But if this is a business need, business critical, I basically have to travel, no other alternative, right? So I pretty much can say many of this kind of trip, they are here. They need to travel. However, it's just that many other countries cannot make it happen, allow that to happen because of the closing of the border. But when green lane open, like Singapore, Hong Kong, Japan, Thailand, for instance, more green lane are opening, right? Bit by bit, like Vietnam and Singapore also, bit by bit. And I pretty much can guarantee you it will be coming back. Now, the second question you asked, Karen, is very interesting about sustainability, right? Now, you look at the TMC, they really having very challenging time right now. Why? Because most of the agreement in the past, they never consider there will be a pandemic like this. It's a traditional one. And how corporates and TMC reach the payment deal is all pretty much by transaction volume, right? Yeah. The more volume, the more charge. The less volume, the less charge. But it's only work in normal situation. We are right now under the pandemic, not normal, right? So that's why corporates and TMC need to sit down together, think about a new way, discuss about, how survival can sustainable, right? Is the transaction fee, management fee, traditional model still works? We need to sit down and discuss. And let me give you one example. Just like testing, we all talk about tests before many times, but it's not that simple. There are many different kinds of tests. In the world right now, 3 categories. One is antibody test, one is PCR test, one is antigen test. All right. Now, don't be too simple. I'm test negative, I can go. Many countries has very stringent policy. What kind of test they look at? If they only allow PCR test negative to enter the country, you provide an antigen test, results, they won't let you in. So that's why TMC right now play a very important role. Before they travel, they have to make sure they have clear, information to the traveler, right? And all this can actually add value to the travel. And they could have a possibility to charge. It's a new way of holistic modeling that travel manager and TMC have to sit down and discuss. Because to be frank, if the traveler, they got the wrong information, they got on the plane, they got the wrong test, they turn back down, it's unacceptable, right? So I pretty much can guarantee you, corporates, if TMC pays attention to this and provide the right information, they will be able to charge.
Correct. I agree.
Yeah. Jeannie, do you depend on a travel management company or an agency? In building up your program.
Yes, we do. We work with the TMC both locally and that destination that we bring the group to. It's
Okay.
like
Do
a
you foresee?
triangle to work together.
Right. Okay. Do you foresee yourself relying more heavily on a TMC in the future when travel resumes?
Yes, correct. Because right now, because of the pandemic, we have to rely on them more heavily because we need local people to help us out. Because as an outsider, sometimes we don't know about the locals, like what's going on. So we have to, like Benson just stated that they're gonna play the important role for us because we're gonna bring a lot of people to there. And sometimes we just like cannot search for the news, or maybe somebody told us the local people, then the TMC, they know better than us, so we have to rely on them heavily.
Okay. Okay. Um, well, we are ourselves frequent business travelers, right? Prior to the pandemic.
Yep.
So what conditions must be in place for you yourself, to return to frequent business trips with confidence? Benson, would you like to start first?
Well, remember, we are all world warrior, okay? It's not that we love travel or not, but business, basically we need to shake hands, right? We need to have relationship, right? Particularly in Asia, relationship is paramount important, all right? But remember, on the other hand also, I have my family members. I have my lovely wife. I have my lovely children. My parents are still here. Now, if I travel, I have to guarantee and make sure not just my own personal safety, but my family's safety also. Because if I got COVID, I go back home, I spread the disease, then that will be very, very troublesome. That's why most important in safety and health. And that's why travel manager has a very important role right now, right? They have to make sure all these measures are there for the firm. They have to be a gatekeeper to ensure the staff are having no health issue. It's not just to their family, also to the office. Because you look at Microsoft, you look at IBM, you look at Pfizer, the office space is crazily huge. Maybe 10,000 staff in an office. Now, if a staff got business trip, come back to the office and spread the disease, that will be the end of the world. So that is the reason why travel manager, I keep on saying, because there are many speculation in the market. Oh, travel manager might lose the job, they might no longer be important because there is zero, traveling. No, that's not correct. And travel manager now need to work closer together with the human resources department also. Closest ever in history, because they are chain reaction. Health, safety, and travel become now merged together. And that's why a travel manager more important now.
Right.
It's true. And Jeannie, for yourself, what would help you be confident to get back to travel?
Yeah, totally agree with Benson's, because for me, I'm kind of like worry free about the disease, because I think I'm love travel, so I love my job and things. But the thing is, as Benson said, you don't know that when you get it, you're gonna spread to your families and kids and your colleagues as well. But for me, because I have a lot of plans to do inspection, because we plan out until 2023 and we cannot do things because of the close of borders. Now we work with all the convention bureau in that destinations, if we can travel, and how about the policy on the quarantine and health and issue, how we can do that. Like for some destination we can do, but now government didn't allow us for unnecessary business. No matter we said this is a business, but they said it's still unnecessary. So I could not travel right now. So we kind of monitor and we work closely with, as I said, Thailand Convention Bureau, because they work with a special unit of government. As Benson said again, government play the most important role right now to make sure that things gonna be back to to normal, or we can travel, or we cannot do anything much right now.
Right. And Karen, may I just add one point? Jeannie said, a core problem, right? Government. Okay. Now, IATA and many association, travel agency association or the travel industry association, hotel association, whatnot, they keep on pressing the government. They keep on lobbying the government.
Yeah.
It's not quarantine that matters. It's the test that matter. IATA's general, director, the head, Alexandra, make million times of claim to the government, right? It's the test. We have a lot of great tests, fast tests. You don't have to wait for 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, or 14 days quarantine. Only 2 hours, the quick test. If the test done once is not confidence enough, then do twice or do 3 times, right? 2 hours, 2 hours, 2 hours. It's only 6 hours. Why do you need to quarantine people for 28 days, right? To and from the country? That will kill all business. But if we take tests, if we are certified negative, then you are free to go. Just like Karen, if you are tested negative, you can go to restaurant, you can go to shopping, do shopping. Why stop you, right? So that's why the focus must be testing, not quarantine. But of course, we do understand a lot of politics here. The politician, they are playing politics here. But economy need to be, revived. Otherwise, if there is a detrimental effect to the economy, and it will affect everybody's life.
Yeah.
That's true.
Can I add that
Yes,
what
please.
Benson just said? For me, we passed through this all along, like 20 years already, since H5N1, SARS, MERS, now COVID. I don't think we can stay away from the disease that's gonna come to our life.
Yeah.
So we might have to plan something else. We cannot wait for a vaccine. So the tasting, it might be very helpful for us, and it helped the economy as well, because tourism industry is kind of backbone for our world. It's not just like only Thailand, Singapore, Hong Kong, but every part of the world. So we should find a solution on that, not just wait for something that it might not happen in one night. So we could not wait another 6 months longer for vaccine and we can travel. So we should find some solution. And I like the idea of tastings as well, but not a lot of countries gonna do that, but it's gonna be very helpful to us.
That's true. So true.
Yeah. Well, let's hope the Hong Kong and Singapore travel bubble be successful, all right? Because it's true quarantine free. It's based on testing, right? If that works, it becomes a perfect example to the whole world.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Let's move to the audience Q&A. I've got a question here from Vincent. He says that, when borders reopen, will famils for the media be happening again, or are they going to be a thing of the past? Well, none of us are representing the tourism bureaus, but I can say that, ever since the Hong Kong and Singapore Green Lane has started, there are already, plans happening now, for Singapore media to head on to Hong Kong, on the invitation of Cathay Pacific and Hong Kong Tourism Board and some other Hong Kong tourism suppliers. So I think it's going to be hard to say that famils will be a thing of the past, huh, Benson?
Well, it will be a completely different world, no doubt. It will be different. But one point I'm sure is, I've made this point very clear. We are not robots, all right? We love hug. We love shaking hands. We are human beings, and travel will come back. It's just the confidence that matters, right? Now, this is not the first pandemic ever in our world, right? Jeannie mentioned H1N1, you know, all this pandemic. And this will not be the last pandemic either, okay? So we have to live in the new normal. We have to adapt to this new normal and move on when, you know, a vaccine, when medicine comes, you know, it's just COVID is just another kind of influenza, for example. When the death rate are controlled with the medicine, with the vaccine, it is nothing more, nothing less, just like an influenza. Then we move on. But it takes time. Now, IATA make it very clear already. The forecast from IATA is if the airline industry going back to the pre-COVID, you know, 2019 level, it will take time. And probably IATA is telling us forecasting 2024 will be the year that we go back to the level of 2019. Now, there are still a little bit more than 3 years of waiting time. But let's hope the world will be better. And I don't know whether, Jeannie, you have that feeling also.
Yeah, it's just the same. I'm totally agreed because I still have, I think so for our business, I mean for human being, face to face, meet each other in person is the most important thing. So everything will come back, but it's the matter of time.
Correct, exactly. We lost Karen, do we? Karen, are we here?
Karen, are you?
Yeah, you're back. Yeah.
Just in time. Sorry.
No problem.
Yeah. I missed a bit of the conversation. Did Jeannie also talk about possibilities of fam trip earlier on?
No, we just talk about like when Benson just mentioned about IATA that the everything's about the airline business gonna resume
Right.
like COVID in 2025, which I agreed. And then because our industry is like face to face meeting in person, so we cannot just do virtual in every angle of life. So hope that due to the matter of time, everything's come back.
Correct. And Karen, if you look at the greater strategic level economy, right? 2 days ago in Asia, a very, very big victory day. Remember the signature of RCEP, RCEP,
yes.
Which is the biggest free trade zone in the world, covering 1/3 of the population. 15 countries, including the ASEAN 10 countries, plus China, Japan, Korea, Australia, New Zealand, 15 countries. The regional comprehensive partnership agreement. It takes 8 years of negotiation, but finally it comes to an agreement. Now, the world will not stand still. No matter COVID, no matter what challenges we have, we will continue to move forward. And with the signature of RCEP, there will be a lot of brand new business opportunity, right? Not just in one area or two areas, but it's a flare to the whole economy. And there will be a lot of traveling, no doubt.
Yeah, good point, Benson. You know, I was thinking that the COVID, you know, if a government was, you know, before a bit resistant to free trade zones or international trade, I mean, at this point, with the domestic economy so challenged, they would likely be more open to international trade now. So hopefully, COVID would act as a catalyst to encourage governments to be more open to international trade.
Yep.
The question earlier about media fans was actually from Max, not Vincent. So sorry about that. I've got a question from Vincent now. Let me find that question. I saw that earlier. Okay. He expects, you know, with corporate travel explosion being imminent, how do we handle this influx of travelers? Is it going to be crazy busy days for corporate travel management companies when business starts to recover?
We all hope. We really
busy
all
days.
hope. Exactly. But I think at the time being, just like the Singapore-Hong Kong air bubble, travel bubble, Green Lane, it's with a quota. Okay. Now, we also talk about the border opening between Hong Kong and China. It will have quota. So when we start off, all these countries will try to protect bit by bit, slowly in a controlled manner. All right. I don't think any country will blindly open up with unlimited, influx of people. I do not think that will be the way. So the countries are very cautious. It will have process step to ensure guarantee health and safety. Health and safety is absolutely, number one in their mind. And if you look at the example of China, they spend so much effort to contain the disease, right? And I do not personally think they will blindly open up, right, to ruin their success. So it will still be some time for the control. Let's hope for the brighter side. And, the vaccine is coming. It will take years. Even with the vaccine, it will take years for the whole world, right, to take all these vaccine injection, at least 1 to 2 years. So it will be bit by bit, control manner in a very, very monitor control way.
Right. We have got it's not quite a question, perhaps more like a comment from Saifuddin. He said, with no COVID-19 vaccine available to first quarter of 2021, how can anyone guarantee travel will happen in a matter of time? Testing can be unreliable. There are cases where a traveler at the time of disembarkation was negative, but later on tested positive. So how to pursue governments to ease mandatory state quarantine requirements to private quarantine arrangements? Benson, you mentioned earlier that if one test is not certain, take 2, take 3, over a course of time.
Right.
I believe some of the essential green lanes do require more than one testing.
Correct.
So the first test would be, prior to arrival at the destination. And then, when you arrive, another test. And then
Correct.
maybe 48 hours in the destination, you're tested one more time. So I think this is a safer arrangement in the absence of quarantines, huh?
Correct. Now, we are not medical officer. We are not, commenting from a medical angle. Okay, don't take us wrong. Okay. Now, we are just commenting from a general public angle. And remember also, in the world is 80-20 rule. Always 80-20 rule. We can't be 100%. Otherwise, getting nowhere. All right. I'm just saying, we try to minimize all the risk. Okay. And just like the Singapore, Hong Kong, green lane travel bubble, minimum 3 times, as Karen has mentioned. Okay. And is in the document required. Minimum 3 times. Some of them have to take even 4 times. So there are process and procedure there. We are just mitigating the risk. We can never, 100% remove the risk. Just like fire. If you stay in a hotel, there is always a possibility of fire. You cannot 100% guarantee no fire in the hotel. But why do you stay in a hotel? Because you feel comfortable. All the measures, all the precautions, done well before the fire, and you feel comfortable, right? So when we face this disease, exactly the same.
I think it's important to also understand that the precautions are not solely on the part of the governments or on the travel authorities. As passengers, as travelers ourselves, we have the responsibility to do what we can, because our people ourselves, we are at the front line of prevention, right? Correct. Put on a mask, wash your hands. If you're sick, don't go out. So you need to be aware of be more self-aware at this point. If you're never self-aware before, this is the time to start.
Yep.
I've got another question that's directed at Benson. Do you think that corporates will minimize their travel and do more virtual meetings as a result of this pandemic? We discussed this many times. Yes. I mean, even Jeannie, I'm sure you have also considered, will we ever do a virtual reward trip? Will we ever replace incentive travel with cash? Is it going to be the long-term solution? Go ahead and tackle that question now, Benson.
I want to learn from Jeannie first, and then I'll comment.
Okay, Jeannie.
Okay.
Do you think ever you can replace?
Because during the COVID time, because our office closed, and we said we have to do the momentum for business. So virtual meeting is the things, the solution that we have to do at that time. But the thing is now everyone's do virtually, the virtual meeting. Now because we moved to hybrid, because as we discuss a lot of often with Benson's, right? People have to, we are human being, we have to interact. We have to shake hands, to hug face to face in person. So now we do hybrid because we cannot do like much more, like 10,000 people at one time anymore. But still, it's kind of dry feeling. It's not like we cannot even shake hands or hug because we're not quite sure what's gonna happen. So now it seems like for me personally, I think virtual will not help. It helps only this time, but in the long run, you have to go back to face for sure. But it is kind of gradually moved from virtual to hybrid, then face to face. Especially our business, our behavior, our nature, we cannot just like meet, just only sit in front of computer and interact and talk. It's not like that. It's not our job. It's not our nature. And then another thing is about virtual reward, virtual incentive too. We thinking about that, but let's say for Thai people, I don't think it worked. We cannot just put like New York City in the background and then have a recognition thing. It doesn't work at all. We try already.
Right, true,
Alright.
true. Well, if you look at TTG mice, in the past few months, a lot of articles. You just look at all the TTG mice, different school of thought. Many people have different feeling. But one point we have to admit, okay, is that currently there is no way, not much way to travel, put it this way. Okay,
Exactly.
so that is the reason why the virtual meeting at the moment is at peak. If you look at the share price of all these virtual meetings company, right? Like Zoom,
yeah.
it's wow, it's going up crazily, right?
Yeah,
Now, we have to admit at the moment, because of all the restriction, government policy,
Right.
pretty much cannot travel that much at the moment. So that's why virtual meeting upsurge, no doubt. And there are many companies, very creative company. For example, like in Singapore, Marina Bay Sands, they have created a brand new experience of Holocaust, right? You can actually have a virtual people, standing next to you, which is virtual, right?
Wow.
But it's a brand new, experience. So all this experience adds value, no doubt. But I absolutely agree with Jeannie, okay? When all this pass, now we are in rainfall at the moment. After every rainfall, it will be rainbow. It's a must. We will pass through all these one day. It's just a matter of time. When times, come, when medicine arrive, when vaccine arrive, COVID is nothing more, nothing less, just a normal influenza. So when that times come, we will get back to the normal. And I pretty much would say all these incentive trip, mice, exhibition business will come back, right? So we have to endure for some time. Like IATA, as I've mentioned, 2024 is the forecast that we come back to the pre-COVID level. And sometimes we have to endure. And now is the time for survival. There will be some company cannot stand the economic financial pressure. Many airlines already, gone out of business. Some hotel need to close down also. And we will have to foresee that in the coming few months or even years. But after this, it will be rainbow.
Yeah. Great points. Very good discussion. Thank you so much, Benson and Jeannie, for joining us early this morning to do this session with me. We have come to the end of session. So thank you again, Benson and Jeannie.
Thank
Can't
you.
see the
Thank
audience,
you.
but
I'm
I'm coming on behalf of them.
very honored to have Dr. Benson here too. You are very, knowledgeable and legend. Thank you.
Oh, no. I'm learning from all of you. But one point, everyone in this call, one point, don't give up. Don't give up, okay? I guarantee all of you, our future will be even brighter. But we have to endure this time. All right. So keep up the good spirit. United solidarity is more important than ever in our industry. Thank you.
Right. Thank you.
Take care until
All
we
right.
next meet in
Thank you,
person.
Karen,
Yeah.
as well. Thank
See
you.
you.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye. Bye bye.